The sky over Egypt burned red as blood. A new king arose who did not remember Joseph, and with him came fear. Fear hardened into oppression, oppression sharpened into cruelty. And yet, in the hour when the darkness seemed strongest, the God of heaven began, quietly, to work his deliverance. Welcome to the channel, where the Bible comes alive in cinematic stories. Today, we open the book of Exodus, a story of suffering, calling, confrontation, and deliverance. The children of Israel multiplied in the land of Goshen. They grew mighty, and the land was filled with them. And Pharaoh looked upon them, and he was afraid. "Come," he said, "let us deal shrewdly with them." So Israel was bound to the brick and the mortar, and they built for Pharaoh the store cities of Pithom and Ramses. Still they multiplied. And the king gave a darker order. The Hebrew midwives were to kill every newborn son at the birthing stone. But the midwives feared God more than they feared Pharaoh, and they would not obey. A Hebrew mother hid her son as long as she could. Then she wove a basket of reeds, sealed it with pitch, and laid him among the rushes of the Nile. His sister Miriam watched from the reeds. And Pharaoh's own daughter came down to bathe. She opened the basket, and the child cried. Her heart was moved. She called him Moses, for she drew him out of the water. And his own mother was called to nurse him. And the child grew. Years passed. Moses walked out among his brethren, and he saw their burdens. He saw an Egyptian beating a Hebrew, and something broke within him. He looked this way and that, and seeing no one, he struck the Egyptian down and buried him in the sand. But the deed became known, and Moses fled. In the wilderness of Midian he came to a well, where shepherds drove away the daughters of the priest Jethro. Moses rose and defended them, and watered their flock. He took Zipporah to wife, and she bore him a son. He named him Gershom, saying, "I have been a stranger in a foreign land." And the cries of Israel rose up like smoke from the kilns of Egypt.
They're beautiful tonight.
And God heard their groaning. And God remembered his covenant with Abraham, with Isaac, and with Jacob. On the slopes of Mount Horeb, Moses turned aside to see a wonder, a bush, a flame, yet not consumed. And a voice spoke from the fire. "Moses, Moses, take off your sandals, for the ground you stand on is holy." And Moses hid his face. "I have seen the affliction of my people. I have heard their cry. I am sending you to Pharaoh." And Moses asked his name, and the voice answered, "I am who I am." The Lord gave him signs. His staff, cast down, became a serpent. His hand, drawn from his cloak, came out leprous and was restored. Still Moses protested, "I am slow of speech." And the Lord answered, "Aaron your brother shall be your mouth." And so the brothers went down to Egypt. They stood before the throne of Pharaoh. Aaron cast down his staff, and it became a serpent upon the polished stone. Pharaoh's magicians did likewise, each staff twisting into a serpent. But Aaron's serpent swallowed them all. And still Pharaoh's heart was hardened. "I know not the Lord," he said, "and Israel I will not let go." Then the hand of the Lord fell upon Egypt. The Nile turned to blood, and the fish died, and the river stank. Frogs swarmed from the waters into the houses, the beds, the ovens. The dust of the earth became gnats upon man and beast. Thick swarms of flies filled the palaces of Egypt. The livestock of Egypt fell in the fields, while Israel's flocks were spared. Boils broke out upon man and
What is
beast.
this affliction?
Hail like
I can't
fire
feel my
fell
skin.
from heaven and shattered the land. Locusts blackened the sky and devoured what remained. And then darkness, a thick, living darkness, 3 days long, that could be felt. And still, as the Lord had said, Pharaoh hardened his heart. Then the Lord gave his people a sign of their own. Take a lamb without blemish, slaughter it at twilight, strike its blood upon the doorposts and the lintel, roast it with bitter herbs and unleavened bread. Eat it with your cloaks tucked in, your sandals on your feet, your staff in your hand.
Stay close to me,
For
children.
tonight the Lord passes
We will
through
not be
Egypt.
afraid.
At midnight the cry went up, from the dungeon to the palace, from the cattle of the field to the throne itself. Every firstborn of Egypt was struck. And Pharaoh rose in the night and wept beside the body of his son. And there was not a house in Egypt where one was not dead. He summoned Moses in the dark. Rise, go out from among my people, you and the children of Israel. Go, serve your God. And Israel marched free. 600,000 on foot, with their flocks and their herds. Before them went a pillar of cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night. And Moses carried with him the bones of Joseph, for the promise had been kept. But Pharaoh's heart turned again. His chariots thundered across the sand, and Israel, with mountains on either side and the sea before them, cried out in terror. Were there no graves in Egypt that you brought us here to die? And Moses lifted his staff over the waters. The Lord sent a mighty east wind all that night, and the sea drew back. The waters piled up as walls on the right hand and on the left, and the floor of the deep was laid bare. Israel passed through upon dry ground, and Egypt followed. But the wheels of the chariots dragged heavy in the sand. Confusion swept the ranks. And when the last of Israel stepped ashore, Moses stretched out his hand, and the waters returned. They covered the chariots and the horsemen,
Let
the
the
whole
sea
army
be.
of
Let
Pharaoh.
it be so!
Not one of them survived. On the far shore, Moses lifted his voice. I will sing to the Lord, for he has triumphed gloriously. And Miriam took up her tambourine, and the women followed, dancing. Remember this, beloved. The God of Exodus hears the cry of the oppressed. He calls the unlikely. He confronts the proud. He makes a way where there is no way. From slavery to freedom.